Sasha Banks is the new Raw Women's Champion in one of the most controversial ways I've ever seen. I don't know how to feel about this, guys. Raymaster Flex, I don't know how to feel about this. I mean, you have her and Oscar, who actually have a pretty decent match, but Sasha tries multiple ways to actually officially win the title. Of course, we saw at Extreme Rules what happened. You know, she blew the green mist. Oscar blew the green mist in the ref's face, and then Bailey steals the ref's outfit, the ref's shirt, and pins, and goes for the 3 count. And then the ring announcer rings the bell. But technically, the match ended in a no contest. And then Sasha's been holding the championship ever since Extreme Rules. I don't know what to say about this, guys. I mean, Asuka, I would say her reign as Raw Women's Champion has been doomed from the start. She literally, she literally in her first title defense, it went to a count out against Nia Jax, and now you have her in her second pay per view as champion, where it's a no contest, and now you have her losing the belt to Sasha Banks. I love Sasha Banks, but this is just not the way they should have gone. This is not the way they should have gone. All of us have been waiting for the plans to seed for Sasha Banks and Bailey to go head to head. We've been waiting for Sasha Banks to finally challenge Bailey for the SmackDown Women's Championship that she has been holding up to this point for almost a year. We've been waiting for this to happen, but instead we see Sasha Banks defeat Asuka on Raw tonight for the Raw Women's Championship. What does this do for Asuka in the long run? How what is this going to do for her? Will she win the belt back? How is this going to play out? Are they still going to even go with Bailey and Sasha at this point? People have been waiting for it for months. You saw the tension for months. Many times Bailey was the one agreeing to matches that Sasha did not want. And then later on they reversed the roles where Sasha ended up agreeing to stuff randomly without Bailey's consent. So now you have it where a match on Raw and with Sasha in many occasions, because Stephanie came out on Raw last week and said that she could lose in any type of way, disqualification, count out, or if Bailey got involved. She tried to toss the chair to Oscar to make it look like she got hit by the steel chair, but the ref obviously could see that she didn't get hit. She tried to get Oscar to get counted out, and she targeted the leg on the announce table, and Oscar managed to get back in the ring on time. She tried every possible thing, and they end off with Bailey attacking Kyrie Zane backstage, which leads to Oscar running out the ring for Sasha Banks to win the Raw Women's Championship. Now, we've seen the story of how they've treated Sasha Banks' title rings individually. Every single title defense she's had, she has never been able to defend it. The only defense she's actually been able to defend, sadly, is her teaming up with Bailey. So this is the way that I think this may go. I think that Asuka will possibly win the belt back at SummerSlam. But then the question becomes, why even give Sasha the belt if that's the case anyway? Why not just keep the belt on Asuka? Sasha Banks is already a 4-time Raw Women's Champion. She wins the belt again, something that she doesn't need at this point. She's got the women's tag team belts with Bailey, and chasing Bailey for the SmackDown women's title is really what should have been happening here. But instead, they went in a completely different route. And this is the way that you do this. I don't know what to say. Again, I do love Sasha Banks, but I love Asuka as well. And I don't like the way that they did this. I don't get the point of this. What was the purpose? You could have easily had Oscar retain, and then you could have started the full tension between Sasha and Bailey tonight, because that would have built it up towards SummerSlam. As the original plan was actually for Sasha to win the belt from Bailey in her hometown in Boston at SummerSlam, but they can't have it in Boston for obvious reasons. And this is the route that you go. I don't know what to say. This is the second title reign of Asuka that has just been drained down. You know, Asuka, when she was SmackDown Women's Champion, same thing. She had that big match where she beat Becky at the Royal Rumble, but then after that, wasn't really getting booked that well. You know, she faced Mandy Rhodes at Fastlane. Then she drops the belt to Charlotte before WrestleMania, and then bam, you know, she's not even SmackDown Women's Champion. And now this year, she wins the belt because Becky's on returning leave, because the belt was actually on the line at Money in the Bank, and her first title defense at Backlash. It's a countout with her and Nia. She only beats Charlotte due to the injury that Charlotte sustained, kayfabe wise, towards Nia Jax um, early in the night on the June 17th episode of Raw. Now you have it where she faces Sasha in a match that was perhaps the match of the night at Extreme Rules, but had a terrible finish. Just to get people to buzz, just to get people to watch Raw. I know why they do it. I get the whole point. So then you have this match happen that will determine the rightful champion, which really was Asuka in the first place because the match was really a no contest. But you have Sasha Banks win the belt, knowing that she's most likely going to drop it back to Asuka because I don't see them having Sasha keep the belt. That's not going to really explain anything towards the tension between her and Bayley. If you're going to have her keep the belt, that's not going to actually give the match people have been waiting for up to this point. So, what? Who is this really benefiting? You know, I don't get this call. I really don't get it. I don't get what their purpose behind this is. Do I think Asuka will win the belt back? Yes, because they've proven time and time again that whenever they give Sasha a singles championship on the main roster with the Raw Women's Championship, she's never able to defend the belt. So I do think she's going to drop the belt back to Asuka, but then it's like, why even take the belt from Asuka right now? You know, and then they got this whole thing with Shayna and Nia going at it. Like, what is this, man? I don't get it. I just don't know what to say. You know, if this was on the other side of the stick, where she was facing Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship, then yes, I would be glad I would be happy for her because of the simple fact that Bayley has been champion for as long as she has, and it's a good way for her to drop the belt, you know, to Sasha. But now they got this thing where she's holding the Raw Women's Championship, and now they're holding all the gold. But the thing is, you know, for what? What is this going to do? How is this going to play out? I do think in the long run that Asuka is going to eventually get the belt back at SummerSlam. I do believe that that will be the case. But again, what does this do in the long run? So you just it's just a lot of questions that buzz through my head. I kind of I've been watching WWE for so long, so I kind of have a feeling of what they're going to do. But they tend to be predictable and unpredictable nowadays. And I don't know. I don't know what to say about this. You know, again, it's bad enough that they ruined the finish. And this has been the story time and time again. You know, you have great, decent matches, and then you just have bad finishes. You know, they had a tremendous match at Extreme Rules, but then you just make the finish all where it's just a bunch of stuff happening to it. You know, and I get what they were doing. I get why they did it, but I don't agree with what they're doing here because you know that you're not going to keep the belt on Sasha. You know she's going to drop it, so why even give it to her? Why even do that? Unless this was something they plan on the long term, you know, have them both being champions, have Sasha lose the belt, then eventually get upset at Bayley because she's still a champion because maybe Bayley doesn't help out Sasha and she ends up losing her own. If they do something like that, you know, it would still build tension, but even then, it's still like, why even have her hold the belt? Because I see the concept of what they wanted to do, but the thing is, you know, like I said, you can't help but feel bad for the way that Asuka, since she's even been champion, ever since she's been Raw Women's Champion, how she's been booked, and it just has not been great from the very beginning of her title reign. She has not had like a clean win on a pay per view. and she's only been in 2 pay-per-views as champion, and neither one of them were clean victories. The first one was a countout. The second one is a no contest, technically, because Bailey's not an official. A lot of people thought that Sasha actually won the belt then, but Bailey's not an official, so it was ruled a no contest. But now this is what you have. And again, the match, Sasha did everything she could to get Asuka to lose the belt. As far as even Bailey attacking Kairi Sane from behind. I like what they did. I get what they were going for, but again, why? Why? Because if you're going to do something where you haven't won the belt now and then drop the belt back to Asuka next week or even the following week before SummerSlam, just so you can have Bayley and Sasha feud with each other, that's not the way to do it. If you really wanted to start that feud, if they're even doing it at this point, because I don't even know what they're even trying to do at this point. I mean, I kind of do, but it's just they're just going all over the place with this. And what you would do is have her lose to Asuka. That way, she could be pissed off because she's like, now she's really gonna want that SmackDown Women's Championship, and then you could go even further than that, and eventually have them lose the women tag belts, because then that's really gonna start it then, because then she's not gonna be holding any gold at all. It's just gonna be Bayley. Then she's gonna be even more hungry to win the belt. So there's different ways of going about it that they did not do, and it just kind of holds the question as to why. So again, I don't know how to feel, because part of me is like, well, Sasha's Raw Women's Champion again, but we've seen how every title reign she's had as Raw Women's Champion, how that has gone, how it never lasts. But for two, it's not even just that, but it's the simple fact of Asuka and the way she's been booked ever since she has been Raw Women's Champion. And this is probably the worst way for her to lose the belt. I can imagine the comics, you know, the comment section is just blowing up right now with people just either being happy or having backlash, whichever the one of the two. I'm not necessarily pissed about the situation. I more so just don't agree with it, because I don't see who is this benefiting in the long run, because it's definitely not benefiting. It's not benefiting Asuka, and it sure as hell is not benefiting Sasha, because we all know she's not keeping that belt for that long. They've just proven from the way she's been booking previous title rings, when she was feuding with Charlotte back in 2016, she's not going to hold that belt that long. Even her last Raw Women's title ring, where she beat Alexa Bliss at SummerSlam, she ended up losing to Alexa Bliss like 2 weeks later on Raw. So again, you know, we know the story of how Sasha's booked. But if you really wanted to go with the Raw Sasha versus Bayley, which people have been waiting for up to this point, the proper way to do it would have been to have Asuka retain. It's not like there's not other women for her to feud with on Raw, especially now that you got Shayna back, Bianca on Raw. There's other women there, but I don't understand it. I don't get the point of this. I don't understand it, and I kind of see the result being Sasha losing to Asuka. Either the feud between her and Bayley starts then, or who knows? Maybe that's the route they're going here. That's most likely what'll probably happen. But I don't know, guys. That's all I had to say about this. I just saw it, just shocked out of my mind when I saw it on Raw an hour ago. And yeah, that's it, guys. Sign off, Ray Master Flex. Like, comment, subscribe, and talk to you guys later. Peace.